Picture this, it's 20,000 years ago. Glaciers, 2 miles thick blanket half the northern hemisphere. Temperatures have plummeted by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. Mammoths trudge through frozen tundra where forests once stood. And somewhere in this frozen hell, humans are not just surviving, they're thriving. This is the story of the last glacial maximum, and how a seemingly fragile species with no fur, no claws, and no natural armor managed to outlast saber-toothed cats, cave bears, and every other predator nature threw at them. The question isn't just, could humans survive the Ice Age? It's, how did we become the only species clever enough, adaptable enough, and stubborn enough to make it look easy? First, let's be clear about what we're calling the Ice Age. Earth has actually experienced several ice ages. But when most people say the Ice Age, they're talking about the last one, the Pleistocene epoch, which lasted from about 2.6 million years ago until roughly 11,700 years ago. But here's the twist. Even within ice ages, there are warmer and colder periods. The coldest, most brutal phase was the last glacial maximum, peaking around 20,000 years ago. This is when ice sheets reached their maximum extent. Sea levels dropped by 400 feet, and entire land masses emerged from the ocean. The Bering Land Bridge connecting Asia to North America. That existed because so much water was locked up in ice. The British Isles, connected to mainland Europe, you could theoretically walk from France to England without getting your feet wet. So how did early humans, Homo sapiens, and their cousins, the Neanderthals, face down this frozen apocalypse? Our ancestors' first advantage wasn't physical. It was cerebral. By the time the worst of the Ice Age hit, humans had already evolved the most sophisticated tool in Earth's history. A brain capable of abstract thought, planning, and innovation. While other animals could only adapt through evolution, a process taking thousands of generations, humans could adapt culturally in a single generation. Someone figures out how to make fire more efficiently. That knowledge spreads through the tribe within weeks, not millennia. Evidence from archaeological sites shows humans creating increasingly sophisticated tools. The Solutrean culture in Ice Age Europe, for instance, developed pressure flaking techniques to create thin, elegant stone blades. These weren't crude hand axes. These were precision instruments that would look at home in a modern survival kit. Here's something most people don't realize. One of humanity's greatest Ice Age innovations was something you probably have in a drawer right now. The needle. Around 40,000 years ago, humans began crafting needles from bone, complete with eyes for threading. This seemingly simple invention was revolutionary. It meant our ancestors could create fitted, layered clothing, fur parkas, leather boots, insulated mittens. They could seal every gap where precious body heat might escape. Other animals had fur. We had something better. The ability to steal everyone else's fur and wear it more efficiently. Our relationship with fire goes back hundreds of thousands of years, but Ice Age humans took it to another level. They weren't just using fire for warmth and cooking, they were using it as a tool for landscape management. Archaeological evidence suggests Ice Age hunters conducted controlled burns to drive game and encourage the growth of plants that attracted prey animals. Fire became a weapon, a beacon, a social center, and a survival technology, all in one. In the frozen caves of Europe, humans carved out living spaces heated by carefully managed fires. With smoke, ventilation systems that would make a modern engineer nod in approval. Some caves show evidence of continuous habitation for thousands of years. Ice Age apartment complexes, if you will. But here's the real secret. We had each other. Humans are hypersocial creatures. While a lone wolf might survive on its own, a lone human in the Ice Age was a dead human. Our ancestors formed tight-knit bands of 20 to 50 individuals, sharing resources, knowledge, and labor. Taking down a woolly mammoth, that's not a solo job. That requires coordination, planning, communication, and trust. You need scouts, hunters, butchers, and probably someone back at camp keeping the fire going. Archaeological sites reveal elaborate food-sharing practices. Large game was divided according to complex social rules. The elderly, children, and nursing mothers received prime cuts, not out of weakness, but because keeping everyone alive and healthy made the entire group more resilient. Let's talk about what was actually on the Ice Age menu, because this is where things get fascinating. The popular image of Ice Age humans is of brutal, carnivorous hunters chasing mammoths across frozen wastes. And yes, that happened. But the reality was far more complex and, frankly, more impressive. Ice Age humans were apex predators who hunted animals that would give modern hunters nightmares. Woolly mammoths weighing 6 tons, giant ground sloths, cave bears that stood 11 feet tall on their hind legs. But here's the key. They didn't hunt carelessly. Archaeological evidence shows sophisticated hunting strategies, driving herds over cliffs, using natural terrain as traps, targeting young or weak animals, and following seasonal migration patterns. At sites like Dol, Mistanis, in the Czech Republic, archaeologists found the remains of mammoths arranged in ways that suggest humans weren't just killing these creatures, they were using every single part. Bones became tools and shelter frames. Hides became clothing and tents. Fat became lamp fuel. Nothing was wasted because nothing could be wasted. But humans didn't survive on meat alone. Even in the depths of the Ice Age, people gathered plants, roots, nuts, and berries. Analysis of ancient hearths reveals traces of ground cattail roots, wild onions, and various seeds. Women who typically did most of the gathering possessed encyclopedic knowledge of edible plants, their seasons, and their locations. This knowledge was passed down through generations, creating a survival database that rivaled anything we'd store on a computer today. And then there were the coastal people. With sea levels so low, vast continental shelves were exposed, creating rich coastal ecosystems. Evidence suggests some ice-aged humans exploited marine resources, shellfish, seals, fish, and seabirds. These coastal populations may have actually had it easier than inland groups. The ocean moderates temperatures, and coastal areas offered diverse food sources year-round. Some researchers believe these coastal routes were highways for human migration, including the eventual peopling of the Americas. Here's a crucial survival strategy most people don't know about. Refuge, not everywhere, was frozen solid. Even at the height of the last glacial maximum, there were pockets of relative warmth through the valleys, coastal zones, areas protected by mountains. These refugia became human strongholds. The Franco-Cantabrian region of southwestern Europe, for instance, was an Ice Age paradise, protected by mountains, with a climate moderated by the Atlantic. This area supported dense human populations. The famous cave paintings at Lascaux and Altamira, those were created by Ice Age people living in refugia, with enough stability and resources to develop complex art and culture. Southern Europe, parts of the Middle East, and certain regions of Africa and Asia served as population reservoirs where humans could maintain relatively large communities. When the ice sheets retreated, these populations would expand, recolonizing the thawing north. We can't talk about Ice Age survival without addressing the elephant or, rather, the Neanderthal in the room. Neanderthals were the Ice Age specialists. They'd been living in glacial Europe for hundreds of thousands of years before modern humans arrived. They were stronger, more cold-adapted, and arguably just as intelligent as Homo sapiens. So why did they go extinct while we survived? The answer is ... complicated, and probably not what you think. Recent evidence suggests Neanderthals didn't simply lose a competition with modern humans. Instead, they were absorbed. Genetic studies show that non-African humans today carry 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. They didn't die out, they interbred with us, and their genes persist in modern populations. But Neanderthal populations were always smaller and more fragmented than Homo sapiens groups. They lived in smaller bands with less intergroup communication. When climate fluctuations hit, their populations crashed. Modern humans, with our wider social networks and faster information exchange, could bounce back from catastrophes more easily. It wasn't that we were better Ice Age survivors individually. It was that we were better at surviving as a species, more connected, more innovative, more adaptable. Here's where the Ice Age survival story gets truly remarkable. Humans didn't just endure, they flourished culturally. The Upper Paleolithic, the latter part of the Ice Age, saw an explosion of human creativity. Cave art appeared across Europe, depicting not just hunting scenes, but abstract symbols, handprints, and geometric patterns. People created portable art-carved figurines, decorated tools, jewelry made from shells, bones, and ivory. The famous Venus figurines, small statues of women, appear across Ice Age Europe and Asia. Some scholars interpret these as fertility symbols, survival talismans, or representations of idealized body types that could survive long winters. Musical instruments date from this period to bone flutes, percussion instruments, probably singing and rhythmic chanting around fires. Humans weren't just surviving, they were creating meaning, beauty, and shared culture, even as the world froze around them. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Ice Age survival is this: the humans who emerged from it were fundamentally changed. Natural selection during the Ice Age favored certain traits. Lighter skin evolved in European populations as an adaptation to reduced sunlight and the need for vitamin D synthesis. Different body proportions, shorter limbs, stockier builds helped with heat retention in northern populations. But more than physical changes, the Ice Age forged human culture. The emphasis on cooperation, on long-term planning, on technological innovation, these became hardwired into human societies. The Ice Age taught us that small groups of intelligent, cooperative individuals could overcome enormous environmental challenges. Every human alive today is descended from Ice Age survivors. We carry their genes, their ingenuity, their stubbornness. When you solve a problem creatively, when you plan for the future, when you work with others toward a common goal, you reusing strategies that kept your ancestors alive through the coldest, harshest period in recent Earth history. So how did humans really survive the Ice Age? Not through brute strength, not through thick fur or sharp claws. We survived through intelligence, adaptability, and cooperation. We survived by making tools, sharing knowledge, and taking care of each other. We survived by being the most flexible, creative, and socially connected species on the planet. The Ice Age didn't make humans tough, it revealed that we already were. It showed that a species of upright apes with oversized brains could look at a world of ice and death and say, "We can work with this." And perhaps most importantly, we survived by being willing to change, to adopt new strategies, learn new skills, and pass that knowledge to the next generation. The humans who entered the Ice Age weren't the same as the ones who emerged from it. We evolved culturally at a pace that left every other species in the dust. The glaciers retreated. The mammoths vanished. The Ice Age ended. But humanity, we were just getting started. The next time you button up a warm coat, light a fire, or solve a problem by working with others, remember, you're using technology and strategies that helped your ancestors survive the impossible. We are the children of the Ice Age, and survival is in our blood. If you found this journey through human history fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the incredible story of how we became who we are today. What aspect of Ice Age survival surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.